Hey, what's up, guys? This is Neverender here, and kind of mixing up the presentation format for today. I wanted to try doing an audio recording for the blog post instead of the written blog. Been doing a lot of writing, obviously, and I thought it might be cool to mix it up. And I've also been talking to Braddock about potentially doing some in-field audio recordings. So I got like a recorder set up now and like the software. So I want to play around with the software a little bit and just kind of get used to it in the event that we do start doing some infield audio. I think I mentioned in one of the comments on the blog that like infield audio I think would be super helpful as a good learning tool for you guys, and I think it'd be really helpful for me too, as I've never actually went ahead and recorded myself infield. So I'd be curious to see these days what like my tonality and pacing and all that stuff sounds like. So keep an eye out for that. Anyways, let's get into what I wanted to talk about today, and what I wanted to discuss with you guys is some concepts regarding routines, and just some theory regarding it. I think among the community there is a lot of differing opinion on the role routine should be playing in your game, from the point where you're just getting started to as you get more advanced. Yeah, there's a lot of debate, I think, and I don't think there's any one right answer. I'm just going to be giving you guys my thoughts on routines based on my own experience and, what I've studied and what I've discussed with Braddock. And, you can take it for what it is, as just an opinion, but I think what I'm going to share with you guys is helpful, as it was some pretty helpful realizations for me when I started, like, kind of changing my outlook on what kind of role routines are going to be playing in my game. Getting started, I wanted to talk to you guys about like just some misconceptions I think about like the roles routines should be playing in your game. Before I do that, I just wanted to quickly define what I'm going to call a routine for the purposes of this blog entry. A routine, in my opinion, is anything that isn't said completely spontaneously in the interaction. At any time, if you ever have to go back into your mind or to think about what you're going to say and then bring it forward with the intention of trying to elicit a reaction from the girl, I'm going to call that a routine. So obviously things like DHV stories are routines, qualifiers are like canned qualifying questions are routines, your comfort stories can be routine if they aren't given spontaneously. And then even things like I wrote a blog post like a month ago about like how to tease and teasing the second layer. Even when you're going into your head to like tease the second layer and use push pull and stuff like that, if it's not spontaneous, I'm going to call it a routine. All right. So for you guys who are new, I want you guys to understand that routines are not the key to success in game. All right. I think when guys first start reading about like game theory, start understanding like concepts of attraction, like what push pull is and how to do it, and they're given lines and routines to kind of help illustrate this. They get the idea in their head that, okay, I'm just going to get really good at lines and routines, and maybe even put together like the perfect like 3-hour routine stack, and then I'm going to be awesome with women. And that's just not the case. Guys like Braddock, who are just like at that highest level of game, they aren't up there because they're the best at delivering lines and routines. Alright, I also want you guys to get the idea out of your heads that routines are going to be something you're going to use forever. I'm at a point now, you guys, where once I get into state, I pretty much don't bother to like use any line or routine or to think at all about what I'm saying, and it is a really liberating feeling to be doing that. And it's more effective than routines. Being able to communicate with the girl authentically and kind of spontaneously is also really important for the sake of the relationship between you and the girl. I think guys who get really hooked on like constantly trying to add more and more routines to their game and trying to like fine-tune their routine stacks and just trying to create this like perfect routine stack, is they get so wrapped up in the routines that they forget to work on their inner game. And Braddock and Mr. M talk about in the inner game seminar that at some point the girl is going to see you for the real you. And if you've worked so much on like lines and routines and haven't bothered to work on the inner game and bothered to like make the inside of you just as attractive as the outside of you, like the girl's just not going to want to be with you when she realizes that the lines and routines weren't, they were, they were a facade. They were you wearing a mask. It wasn't the authentic you that she initially thought it was. So I hope that excites you guys. For one, I mean, I'm telling you that you're going to be able to get to a point where you can completely just be in the moment with whoever whatever girl you're interacting with, and just say whatever you want, and it's going to be good. And it makes games so much more fun. I don't know about you guys, but the idea of like constantly going out and running that same 20-minute conversation, that same hour-long conversation over and over and over again, and anytime the girl is talking to you, part of you is listening, but at the same time there's another part of you that's trying to think about what to say next, or what your next tactical move is. That is way less appealing than just being able to go out and shoot the shit and have really, really hot girls be attracted to you because they can see the real you. So while I do want you guys to get to that point where we start to drop the lines and routines, obviously to start, lines and routines are very important. For a lot of guys, we get into this and we have no idea how to generate attraction with a girl. We don't understand the kind of the theory behind it, and when you get introduced to all the theory, that's all well and good, but if you don't have the actual reference experiences, if you don't get to go out and start seeing what it's like to have a girl attracted to you, start picking up on subtle cues girls can give you, starting to build your social intelligence to understand how to handle groups and just be comfortable in a social setting, you need reference experiences to build all that. Reading theory is not going to get you to a level where you can just go out and be the pimp, right? The theory is not going to help you. You need the reference experiences, and that's why routines are really important, because they obviously give you the confidence to go out there and give this stuff a try to begin with, but then the routines are designed to help elicit the reactions from the girl so you can start building that reference experience. A couple of things I want you guys to be careful of as you start to use lines and routines and you start to get good reactions from them. You need to make sure as you're starting to use lines and routines, as you're getting started, to not let your ego get wrapped around those lines and routines. In the Intro to Intergame seminar, or Intro to Intergame audio, Braddock and Mr. M talk about how lines and routines are like the training wheels you put on your bike. So when you don't know how to ride a bike yet, you put the training wheels on to kind of get you moving and to get you get a feel for how to handle the bike. But at some point, you guys, you want to be taking the training wheels off and start using that bike to its full potential. So if you get too hooked onto the lines and routines, which I think a lot of guys do, they start to get good at game, and they start to recognize when attraction is happening, and they start to realize what push-pull is, and they've internalized all these concepts, and they hit a point where they're ready. They're ready to start letting go of those routines, but they don't, because they think they need the lines and routines to generate that attraction. They don't think that they're enough without the lines and routines, which is a misconception. Alright? But yeah, as I said, use the lines and routines to start out. Basically, you want to use the lines and routines to start seeing what I like to call the attraction matrix. And in the movie The Matrix, the main character Neo is living his life, and he's perceiving the world as he sees it, but then he gets introduced to the Matrix, and his whole worldview completely changes. And you kind of go through the same experience in game. You go out there as just a normal guy who's never heard of anything, he doesn't know what game is or whatever. You go out into a nightclub and you just see the world as it is, and you see interactions as just the surface level. But then you get introduced to the game and you start to see the Matrix, and you start to see the underlying meanings to every interaction. And so when you start to see that, and at the same time, I want you guys to be going out and trying to build up your your social intelligence, starting to understand how to handle groups and handle social situations, and feeling comfortable handling things like logistics. With those two levels, and you tie that into working on your inner game. So the three factors to really start, when you're ready to start dropping routines, it's when you start to see the attraction matrix. Your social intelligence is increased to a point where you feel comfortable in social, in a wide range of social situations, and then your inner game is starting to get really strong. I mentioned in the last blog post about internalizing knowledge, how I'm constantly feeding myself new inner game material. Like the process just never stops. Like I'm always working on myself, always trying to build up like my authenticity, strengthen my identity, strengthen my values, and just becoming more and more like confident and build my self-esteem, and cultivating this my real authentic attractive self. And when you're going out in the field, at the same time you should be back at home working on your inner game, because at some point what I want for you guys is basically your inner game becomes so strong that it becomes your outer game. All right, and you're gonna feel that. You're gonna hit a point, you guys, where you're starting to get good. Like you can feel like you're starting to get good, and you're starting to feel comfortable out in field, and you're starting to have a lot more good interactions. But at the same time, you're not hitting that level of you're just crushing it, and you can feel like you're so close, but you're not sure what's missing yet. And I went through a period of 2 months like this. I was man, I'm going out all the time, and I feel like my game is pretty good, but I'm not pulling all the time yet, and I'm not sure why. And that is the time, you guys, when you gotta start just letting your inner game do its thing. And that's the time where you want to go out, and your whole focus is, like I talked about in an older blog post, you just want to get in a state, you want to have fun, you want to act on your own intentions, you want to be self-entertaining, and you want to try to build real connections with people. And then once you hit state, basically you're just gonna let your inner game do its thing. Just be yourself, and just speak your mind. And you've internalized so much of the good game theory that you're going to be able to do push-pull naturally. Your social intelligence is at a level where you're going to be able to comfortably handle logistical problems and handle groups and just social settings naturally. And you just get to this point where it's game becomes 100 times more fun, because all of a sudden you're just you're not even thinking anymore. You're just in the moment, and you're playing, and it's a great feeling. But you're never going to get to that point, you guys, if you get too wrapped up in lines and routines that you're too afraid to let go of them. So I know this video is short, and I can go into this for in detail for a really extended period of time, but I'm probably gonna wrap it up right now. Obviously, feel free to leave questions and comments, and feel free to shoot me an email too at neverender@live.com with any questions or comments, and I'll be sure to get back to you guys. And that's about it. So I'll talk to you guys on Wednesday.